Welcome everybody to the Electric Education Center session number 14. We're going to talk today about the commercial electrician. The last session was talking about residential electrician, and today we'll talk about the commercial electrician. As I said in the last session, number one, you want to become an electrician. Well, I spoke about the many avenues available and the many opportunities in the electrical trade. I spoke about what a residential electrician does. The residential electrician has to be an expert who could do it all in one building. He's got to be able to figure out and install all kinds of electrical conductors like the service conductors or the feeders to sub panels, the branch circuits for every room and every system in the house, as well as all grounding and bonding wires, swimming pool installations, optional standby systems, the Kohler and Generac generators that you put in. So you see, the guy that goes to do work at a residential dwelling unit has to be an expert. He also has to know about AFCI, GFCI, lighting for indoors and outdoors, recessed lighting, LED lighting, ceiling fans and ceiling fan rated metal boxes, bathroom circuit wiring options, electric vehicle chargers, solar PV installations, doorbells and these new Ring doorbells with the cameras, all appliance circuits, like the two appliance circuits in the kitchen, the electric range circuit, the electric dryer circuit, the wall oven, the dishwasher, garbage compactor, garbage disposal, microwave ovens, dish warmers. He has to know all about the different installation methods of these items, and he's got to know how to pass inspection on the first try, etc., etc. So you see, the residential guy, he's got to be, or gal, has to be an expert in many areas. All right, let's get into commercial electric a little deeper. I would say that the major difference, in my opinion, is the introduction of the idea of an electrical mechanic. When we wire up a commercial space, we're wiring and installing a lot of a few items. What I mean by that is that in an office space, for example, the electrician, electrical mechanic, would need to install thousands of feet of conduit, 100 junction boxes and device boxes. He's got to install 300 2x4 lay-in luminaires. She has to install 200 duplex receptacles, 24 light switches. You see, you're doing a lot of a few items. So you see what the commercial electrician doesn't have to deal with. He doesn't virtually know AFCI circuits unless he's doing wiring in a hotel or a motel or assisted living facilities. No appliance circuits, no three-way switches to troubleshoot, no electric vehicle chargers, no bathrooms, no troubleshooting, no fishing of old construction, and maybe no service work until he learns it on the job. So there's a definite need for this electrician who is really a mechanic. Somebody who likes to work with his hands, somebody who likes to work with the tools, somebody who does not want to sit behind a desk in an office. That's me. I don't like sitting behind a desk in an office, though today it's what I do a lot of. This mechanic can put together the pieces, hang conduit using all thread, secure device boxes to metal studs, unpack and set in place hundreds of lay-in luminaires, install hundreds of duplex receptacles and more. Keep in mind that while the commercial electrician is doing this, working safely is the primary goal. You want to go home with all the pieces you left home with in that morning. After that, moving at a good pace is important. Being in good physical shape is necessary. Having a good attitude helps also. Always try to be the person with a can-do attitude, and you'll be able to move up the ranks. Don't be the whiner and the complainer. Be the person that can say, you know what? I got the job done because. During my many years of inspecting these different electrical installations, I met many different people at many different levels: managers, engineers, building inspectors, other electrical inspectors. But nobody commanded my respect more than an IBEW Local Union 98 electrician foreman. Here is a guy or a woman who has to work with everyone. People above them, like their supervisors, company owners, customers, building owners. People below them, like journeymen and apprentices, supply house delivery people, building janitors and staff. He or she has to be able to work with the tools, has to be a teacher, a parental figure, a disciplinarian, a confessor, a psychiatrist, and a psychologist. They have to know the NEC codebook inside and out, and much, much more. Some names that come to mind, I was thinking about this, and some of the names that come to mind in the Philadelphia area, guys like Mike Breslin and Richie Brill, Mike Brust from Local 81 in my hometown of Scranton, PA, Frank Hollern, Mark Kelleher, Dan Lynch, Larry Lynch, Mike Morano, Tim Moran, Jim Odgers, the legend John Palucci, George Quinn, Steve Scalfani, and Tom Sparks. Yeah, that's his real name, Tom Sparks. I can truly say I had the privilege of working with some of the best commercial electricians in the United States. And they were the foremen and four women on the job right here in the Philadelphia area. And I'm sure those names and quality people work just the same in Disney World and Las Vegas and Kansas City and Sacramento and Olympia and Chicago and New York City and Wilmington, Delaware and Trenton, New Jersey. So my hat is off to all of you. And those names who I missed, one that comes to mind is Karen, that worked with Local 98. I worked with her down at the Philadelphia airport, but I don't know Karen's last name. But Karen, my hat is off to you also. A great four-person she is. So whoever's names I missed, nothing I could do about that. Sorry, but I got the names of who I did get, and congratulations to you and hats off to you. All right, so back to reality here. So what tools are used by the mechanic? Well, besides the basic hand tools that I discussed in the last session for a residential electrician, the mechanic is going to learn how to use conduit benders, and that includes hand benders and hydraulic benders, pipe threading machines, drill motors, power saws, hammer drills, core drilling machines, cutting and drilling tools of all different kinds. Up in the air work is another operation that the mechanic has to do. Service connections at the weatherhead of a service drop, for example, light pole installations and light pole service work, conduit runs 20 feet in the air in a warehouse. You will use bucket trucks, boom lifts, man lifts, scissors lifts, scaffolds. You'll use transformer lifts to pick up the transformer for the indoor installations. You'll also do rooftop work that involves lifting and loading operations for material and equipment. And you'll have to work with the crane operators and hoists. And to be safe doing all this, training is a necessity, and it's required by law. That law would be OSHA. OSHA 10 and OSHA 30 programs require that the employer provide occupational safety training. OSHA 10 is 10 hours, OSHA 30 is 30 hours. The OSHA program is for all workers, and it covers the pitfalls and the hurdles that all of the trades lay out there for all of the other trades. It's not just for electricians, it's for all workers. There's a definite need for this safety training. and that's why it's the law. Falls on the job site, for example, are the leading cause of injury and death on the job. So you best know the ways that we prevent falls. NFPA 70E is another standard. It's a standard of electrical safety, and that applies to all workers exposed to electrical hazards on the job. No electrician or no worker should be put in a position without first having the knowledge derived from these two safety programs. If you or your company wants to attend these programs, you can get to the Electric Education Center website to see my schedule. I'm doing a lot of classes by Zoom during this COVID crisis, and check out my schedule on my website. And the company can also just schedule a private class for only its employees if desired. And this can be done, like I said, in person or virtual using Zoom. So back to the commercial electrician. Just how many electricians are there in the United States? Well, the government says 667,000, which if you divide it by 50, that's an average of 12,560 per state if it were divided evenly. But you know that California, New York, Pennsylvania need more electricians than Montana or New Mexico, for example. So you can figure out how many there are in your own state. Over the next 10 years, it's expected that we will need 8.4% more electricians. And that means we will need like an additional 56,000 electricians to keep up with the workload. So that's 56,000 there. Plus, we have to replace those who get hurt or killed or retire and move out of the industry. They have to be replaced also. So what kind of work are we doing? Well, number one, you have solar PV installations, which are a big thing. It has been for the last 10, 15 years. Number two, the hot item right now is electric vehicle chargers and these circuits and the size of the services that have to be installed to serve these chargers. Number three is windmills. The wind farms that are be going off the coast on the East Coast and the West Coast need electricians. Number four, microgrids. These microgrids, they have their own articles in the NEC with Article 705 handling parallel sources like solar and windmills. And then the DC microgrids are covered in NEC Article 712 now. The evolving technology here is very interesting in that somebody figured out, hey, why should we change the DC from the solar and the windmills and the fuel cells into AC to use it? Why not skip all that's in between there and just generate DC and use it as it is? Number five is infrastructure. You know, the past two administrations, as well as the present administration, all called for new and replacement roads, bridges, railways, and airports. And it looks promising this time as we crawl back out of our COVID shells. And all these projects need electricians on board. Number six is all our military bases must have their own and civilian electricians available. So the first four areas I mentioned are new and emerging technologies, while the last two need an increase in the number of electricians simply to handle the increasing demand. So where are we going to find these needed electricians? Well, don't miss Electric Education Center session number 15 for some valuable insight of what's happening in our area and other cities in the United States. And but for now, that's it for this session. Van Wert out.